We're about to find out what the new
So yeah, it's only
transporter
two
from
crew.
Anvil
Yeah,
is.
so it's two
So
crew.
stay
We
tuned.
have obviously the person flying the thing, and then the second person who can either sort of a flexible role. There is a turret that they can control. They can go sit in it and shoot anything that comes at you, but it's not really a ship that's a combat ship. It's a transporter ship. If you want protection, you need to bring protection with you, or rely on the ships that you're carrying to provide that protection, which is another benefit of this open-topped ship. Is
you can just
you come under
launch,
attack,
yeah.
everyone can launch out straight away. You're not having to fly your ships out one by one out of a tube. They can get off pretty quickly.
Putting aside my Battlestar Galactica vibes of loving the Viper launch tubes on Galactica, I do think of the design as a good design. I think that the Liberator is going to be a heck of a ship. This is going to be the ship to recommend to people who want the capital lifestyle but don't want the extras of a capital. It is a true refueler. It has 400 SCU on board. It only needs 2 crew, and that person, if they're not in the man turret, well, suddenly now they can be your load master, your quartermaster, checking on people, making sure they get the equipment they need. I would also say that this is one of the few ships that could potentially, or could have benefited from more crew, probably 3 or 4, as mechanics. So we'll see how that goes. I think that one extra person is going to have a lot of different duties because you're going to have one person who needs to man the cockpit, comms, and everything in that small bridge, and then the other person would be your uh, quartermaster, loadmaster, and the man turret operator as if needed. Hopefully not that often, and handling refueling and making sure that the cargo is being handled correctly. This is a true incredible ship, and it's well needed, and it is going to be great for Pyro, as was discussed already and hinted at by the devs, and the community is going crazy about this Anvil Liberator for good reason.
It's just investigation of, we've got our function and what it needs to achieve, but in the last 2-4 years, definitely the last 2 years, like our process has just been a lot stronger in terms of player flow. So there's no more of the Starfarer higgledy-piggledy
mystery tour.
I'm
that
bringing
was our
this up
first
while he's talking,
multi-crew
but I mean,
ship.
that 400
The
SCU,
pipeline wasn't in place.
that fuel bay, the 16 jump seats,
Interior was like,
all those lockers,
so,
which is all the
there's been a
modern
lot of
stuff, the
learning
suit
going on,
lockers
so
and the
now
regular
it's like,
lockers that
okay,
we're just starting to
if I'm
see in
employed,
other ships. Only you have to get golden pass to get that type of technology,
are
are already coming out of the bat with this. I'm very excited to see how this ship comes together. I think the crew is going to be small. It's the support
different flow
is small, but
different
this is an
ideas.
incredible ship.
So
Single-purposed logistics vessel that can support, if it's protected combat role, limited combat role, and then also as a transporter, a pure transporter. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
One for crew, one for passengers. So if you're under the ship, you can just easily get up and down. And so the whole process is a lot more streamlined. And there's even if you're in those top rooms, and there's a call to action. You've all got to get out. We've even put a nice little set of stairs that just run down the side of the ramp, and so you can just run down, get in your
Whatever vehicle,
and then off you go. So I feel like a lot of thought was given to just improving.
And I think it's really nice as well the fact that you've got, like say, that passenger section kind of sectioned off, and they're always ready. But then, like say, you were saying about the bows of the ship and how that's sort of all that technical stuff's like hidden at the bottom, and that feels nice that that's crew only, and because you don't want passengers just just
definitely
milling around.
And then moving on to, you can see here the garage space and where the cargo is stored. So originally the cargo was going to essentially take up one of the garage spaces.
It was going to be a compromise choice that players could make of that the cargo is stacked down, either down the middle of the lower garage or across like one of the pads, so you could choose
Having this ship have that system that is integrating having passenger only areas, crew only areas is very useful. It allows this ship to make some money. I can picture this ship literally in chat in Pyro saying, "Hey, anybody with a small ship, anybody need a support, I'll bring your vehicles along with this. Come for the ride." And you can place them in a more secure area, move them around without them worrying as much about them having a chance to get at the bridge, and certainly increases the value of this strip tremendously. I could see cross-org support, this being an organizational asset being used to support other orgs that may or may not be friendly in the area to try to build relations, and also for joint operations. I see this ship as some pretty cool stuff, even just as a refueling bay. The fuel tanks don't look huge. We don't have exact numbers, but between that and the 400 SCU storage space that the art team actually snuck in, I see a lot of value. I could also see this thing being used for mining operations with that MPUF cargo on the front, and also 2 ROCs could be squeezed in at the minimum inside. Probably some more ROCs if you really had some courage. And then obviously the 2 small bays on top. I can't help but think that that used to be a third small ship pad on the front, but then they had some panic realizing that that would have the same capacity as an Idris, not counting its MPUF cargo storage on the bottom. So by bringing down that pad in the front to extra small, and only having an MPUF cargo or Pisces or something like that being able to fit there, suddenly now this ship is not competing with the Idris, a ship that's 3 times its value. Not obviously it's not the exact same capacities, but logistically this thing is getting close. Once again, 400 SCU versus the Idris is like the 900 SCU, depending on which Idris we're talking about. But still, I mean, it's getting a serious value here, especially the War Bond variant at the 500 USD price point. Very exciting ship.
This is what you're going to see going through these wide and long star systems. Like Pyro is incredibly large compared to Stanton, and Stanton's already quite big to go from one side to the other. So we really need these ships to help you lug all your stuff from point A to point B. Because if you do it in your Hornet, that's going to be, I don't know, 50, 100 little stops. Whereas you cram it in one of these and send it on its way, it's going to be a much better experience for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I think this is going to be a fun one to kind of get onto.
Yeah, I think your team's going to like that.
That's pretty much it for the Anvil Liberator. Ship transporter at its core, 2-man crew, designed for hauling 3 spaceships and some ground vehicles long distance.
So a ship built out of necessity that really brings up some interesting price points. And I believe that this is going to be a strong option for people that are already in the Idris Kraken crowd or were considering an Idris or a Kraken. This thing brings the same kind of logistics capacity. Is the fuel tanks as big? No. Is the SCU anywhere near as big as a Kraken base? No. But this thing, at its price point it's at, it's simply untouchable for what it's a singular purpose, carrying equipment. Now, I will caution that the Idris has the military armor. I will caution that the Kraken has more ships, weapons, and such. Especially the base Kraken has all those auxiliary fuel tanks, and the scale of this ship is a little smaller than those, to say the least. But this can bring a lot to the table. It's basically a double-decker Hercules, and I mean that's just magnificent. I think the value of this is great. I want to thank you for listening, and if you made it this far, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thank you and fly safe.